Alright, so one important thing I want to talk about is patient. The patient doesn't mean you have to go really slow, but rather you stay at some stage for long enough so that it's good enough. Okay. For example, we're doing the basic shape. Now in this particular stage, you want to make sure that you have the correct position for the cheekbone. I'm thinking my cheekbone is too high, so let me drag it lower. Okay. And then also look at other places, like I think the back of the head is getting a little bit too small, so I'm going to give it a little bit more volume. Okay. And then I think I can refine the cheekbone to make it go in just a little bit. Okay. And then I can also bring these guys down a little bit, because this is not supposed to be really that sharp. It's more like a rounded shape, so I'm going to use edge polish to break up that really sharp edge. Okay. Alright. Cool. And then I think I'm going to make my chin just a little bit thinner. Okay. Cool. And smooth out the geometry. So I want you to stay here for long enough, maybe let's say 20 to 30 minutes. Just think about the structure of the head, follow your reference, make sure they're correct before we move on. And this is important. That's what I'm talking about. Patient. Okay, patient is not like you go slow, but rather you stay at a certain stage, make sure that everything is correct before you move on, right? Don't try to add a lot of detail yet, because those are not going to work unless you have a very good base shape. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Alright, welcome back. So let's actually go ahead and start doing some more detail on the head. So one thing I want to figure out is where the eye is, because that's the important thing, right? So I'm gonna hit the 2 button or whatever shortcut you have to switch back to clip it up. Make the brush a little bit smaller. Like the size of the eyeball, you can hold it on Alt and start to, maybe a little bit bigger than that, to carve in the socket for the eyeball. Okay. And you can blend it to the bottom. Okay. So that's where the socket of the eyeball is. Now, let me keep digging in a little bit more. Now, depending on what kind of character you're making, this might be deeper or not as deep as mine. Okay. And then afterwards, you can smooth it out. Okay. Now, very important thing, go to the bottom view and tweak the arc. Okay. So it's still kind of like a spherical surface, but you have those two budge or two bone turning point over here for the eyebrow. And make sure that you see that and you have a nice arc connected to it. Okay. Alright, and you can also tweak it from all different other angles. Okay. And let me keep carving in and smooth that out. Now you can see now we have the cheekbone, right? We have the eyebrow bone, and we have these. Or let's say these, right? The inside of the eyebrow, outside the turning point of the eyebrow, this part, the cheekbone, and those two at the very bottom is two points of the bone, the end point of the bone, or the bumping out part of the bone. Those 1, 2, 3, 4, these 8 right points are the important landmark for any character. If you figure out their relationship correctly, then it's gonna be really looking like them. Okay, because that's the primary features, the proportion of this character. Notice that I didn't even mention eyes, nose, and mouth, because those things are not as important as these things. Okay, by important I don't mean they are more attractive, they're more eyeball sucking, right? They're more like the foundation of the model. So make sure that you have those things correct. Okay, let me clear the graph. Alright, now let me go ahead and then add the nose part. I can easily use clip it up to draw out some volume here. Now this is not going to look good in the beginning, but then I can go to the side view and then start dragging it out to reposition the geometry or tweak it, right, to make it looks like a nose shape from the side view. Okay, this can go in a little bit. And then I can control drag to dynamesh it to get a better topology, shift to smooth it. And then I can add the side of the nose by using clay build up. Okay, it's connected to the tip, of course, right? And I can use move brush to tweak its shape and smooth out the part I don't quite like. Now for beginners, this may feel a little bit weird or hard to do. You may end up with the shape you don't like to have. Now that's totally normal because it does take a lot of practice to be able to do it really quickly. So if you feel a little bit frustrated, that's just the way it is. Okay, just do more practice, and you can eventually make something real quick. Okay, I'm trying to go also really slow. Right. The thing you want to mend the most is the side views contour. Then from the front view, the right proportion, so you have smaller side of the nose and the tip of the nose. But this is really different on different characters, so you cannot just say a default proportion for these. I would recommend you to look at your reference and see what proportion you're getting from your reference. Okay, let me control drag to re-dynamesh it. And at the bottom, then you can use clay build up, holding down Alt to dig in the hole of the nose, the nostrils, smooth that out. Okay, and then also you can holding down Alt while using clay build up just to clean up the surrounding structure a little bit, make it sit on a fairly even bottom. Okay, I would try to do a lot of dragging to refine the proportion because that's the important thing. Okay, now go to the side view and make sure that you can see that this is fairly even. You don't want this part to be far in the front, like some people may end up with something like this or something like this. Make sure that the side view is also okay, because that's the view you don't visit that much. If you're not careful, you may end up with something wrong. So let me do some dragging to just try to make it as good as possible. Okay. Alright. Cool. Now one more thing we need to block out is the mouse. For the mouse though, first of all, it's a big volume, so we can draw out more like a cylindrical shape or a spherical shape around it. If you have learned some anatomy, you know that it's having this muscle around it, like this around the mouse. Okay, you can have those basic structures kind of like blocked out first before you even create the mouse part. If you're lazy, you can also use the chisel brush. You can see there is a mouse. Okay, you can use that to turn off the symmetry, of course, and draw out the mouse. I don't quite like that, okay, but that's one of the options you can do. Okay, I'm just gonna go from scratch. So here, I'm gonna use stem standard and then start drawing out the seam between the lips. I think that's a little bit too big, so let me go smaller here. Again, you want to be really careful about this, right? Where it is or how big it is. Or in the side view or the front view, you can see the proportion here. This line in the middle, compared from the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin, where this guy is, right? Generally speaking, human body can be the face can be separated into 3 big chunks. This one, and this one, and this one, right? So they're equal. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 big volumes. 1, 2, 3. Right, so you have the nose in the middle, and you have one more on the top, one more on the bottom, and that's where you grow hair. Okay, let me clear the mask. Alright. So after that, you can then use the clay build up to draw out the upper lip's volume. Now lip doesn't live all by itself, it's growing out from the surrounding structure. So when you have some volume already, you can use drag to refine it, and you can then try to blend it with the surrounding structure, use Clay Build Up. Using Clay Build Up, you can see I'm trying to blend it with the surrounding structure. Okay, and you can even use edge polish to define the contour better. You can see the polishing sometimes is really useful. Okay, and I'm also going to try to define the contour of the lip, and also this middle part. This is in the middle dip. There's a little dip in the middle. Okay, and then I can also drag the seam, just trying to make it looks a little bit more like my reference. Okay, I can also use edge polish to just define that bottom face of the lip. You can see we have a fairly sharp turn actually going from the top, and then have a turn here, right? And I can use Clay Build Up to do the same thing for the bottom lip. Okay. Now again, don't get too intimidated or frustrated if you cannot do this very easily, because these kind of things need practice. It's a good thing for you because after 10 years of practice, you know that no one can surpass you with a few months or even 1 or 2 years, because you're just better because you have practiced it more. Okay. Not like some tech knowledge, someone learns some new tech knowledge and they surpass you right away. Like maybe a new game engine or whatever, not just, or a new renderer, somehow they can produce suddenly better results. I mean, two matters, but the skill underneath it is more important. So let's spend some time blocking out the nose and the mouth. They're easier than the eye, so I don't really create the eyelid yet, but at least have those things blocked out first, and we can fine-tune them later. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the video now and moving on to the next. That's when we're gonna try to see how we can create the eye. Okay, see you next time.